Hello friends, welcome to our channel. Today I will discuss regarding on categories of arithmetic micro operations. So micro operations we have already discussed, but how we categorize or classify the different arithmetic micro operations. Whenever we will discuss regarding on this, first of all we see that the micro operations that is a arithmetic micro operations deals with the operations performed on numerical data which are stored in a register or memory. Normally we know that that kind of concept regarding on arithmetic micro operations, but the some basic arithmetic micro operations we have to classify into certain categories. Those classified or what are the categories of arithmetic micro operations, that part we discuss today. So normally the category are like a addition, okay, addition, that is basic arithmetic micro operations. I will tell you that is how it is this kind of we will consider the category of arithmetic micro operations. Okay, next is subtraction, increment, decrement, and shift. Okay, these are the basic arithmetic micro operations, and this actually whenever you go through any kind of operations, these micro operations also defined for this other multiplication and division, but this is multiplication also depend on the addition, division also depend on subtraction. So we will consider this basic arithmetic micro operations, that is addition, subtraction, increment, decrement, and shift. And some additional arithmetic operations, micro operations also there. They are classified by like a, we can tell like a add with a carry. When add any two numbers, definitely some carry bit we can get it. So we can tell as a add with a carry. Okay, and similarly some add some data. Some data also during subtract also borrow some data from previous data. Okay, subtract from data, that is borrow some data from previous data during subtraction. Okay, and some data also we can consider like a transfer data, okay, content of data, transfer of data, or load data, etc. You can go through that. It's either transfer data from one register to another register, or some load data from one register to another register. So different ways we can consider. Okay, these are the categories of that is a arithmetic micro operations. Okay, so whenever we go through these categories, then we will see that with certain example we can also define how these micro operations is operated. Okay, let us consider that is this either this one or this one, how it is actually it is working. We will see that. You see, whenever go through this kind of data, very simple way I will explain this part. Okay, means symbolically we will represent like a suppose symbolic representation, and another is some description is there, then we can find out what kind of data or how to define. how to define. Very simple way. Let us consider addition. Addition means addition of R1 R2 suppose. Then very simple way we can add that two numbers. Symbolically you can write a register of the content of two registers, add and store in R3. That means what you write, that is a content of or a contents of R1 and content of R1 plus R2, okay, are transferred to R3. Normally this is the basic concept. Okay, that means the sum of two contents R1 or R2, what are the result that transfer to R3. This is the basic concept. Similarly, if we go through another way, okay, like a R1 minus R2, subtraction point of view. Similarly, instead of addition, what you write, that is a minus. We can we can go through minus, because contents of R1 minus R2 are transferred to R3. Okay, same thing. That is very simple way we can define this part. And similarly, another one. Suppose R2, the complement of data just store. Okay, complement data. That means what happens now? That means a complement of complement the content of which complement? That simple one's complement, that is what a complement of content of what? R2. Okay, content of R2. That means only complement what you write, that is one's complement. We write one's complement of R2, because simple complement, it doesn't matter. R2 complement means a simple complement only consider, just a transfer to same register. We can write it in this way. Okay, and if we add same thing, just a very simple way, that is R2 complement plus 1 means one's complement plus 1. Okay, it is a R2 complement plus 1 means one's complement plus 1. That means what you write? 2's complement. Okay, 2's complement of R2. Okay, 2's complement of R2 means what you write? Obviously subtraction. Okay, obviously subtraction. That means R2 is minus R2. That means we can write that is minus R2 like this. But the meaning is like this. R2 complement plus 1 means minus R2. That minus R2 transfer to R2. Okay, so this is the basic concept. Okay, so and another also we can write. Suppose that is R3. Okay, R3 is R1 plus R2 complement plus 1, for example. Okay, R3, the R1 plus R2 plus 1. That means what? R1 is okay. R1 plus what you write? This is a 2's complement of R2. That is a 2's complement of R2. Okay, 2's complement of R2. That means what? Very simple way. Here other way you can write, that is R3 is R1 minus R2. In this way you can also write. Very simple way. Okay, very simple way we can write. Here is actually negative, not subtraction. You can write actually it is negative of R2. Actually it is negative of R2. Okay, here what happens? R1 plus 2's complement of R2. In this way we can define, that is a subtraction. Okay, next is also like R1, if you write R1 plus 1, okay, what do you write? R1 plus 1 means increment, because increment by 1, that is increment, okay, increment of R1 by 1, okay, increment of R1 by 1, this is just increment, okay. Similarly, if we go through reverse case, R1 minus 1, that means what? Decrement, okay. We can go through decrement of R1 by 1, okay. Increment and decrement like this we can consider, so there is no problem. So these are there is a different symbolic representation of different operations, and these are basic operations, okay. I explained this basic of operations, that is micro operations, that is normally it contains, that is 5 types: addition, subtraction, increment, decrement, shift sum is there, okay. And next, add with carry, subtract with borrow, transfer load, like this we can define according requirement, okay. So I think I hope you understand this kind of different micro operations, classification of micro operations, okay. Thanks to all.